hey, I wanted to let you in on a little secret. It's not really a secret. It's just, this is kind of like the operating system of what we use at EmberTribe to grow client accounts. And it's a framework that we can use across literally any sort of marketing channel, paid or organic, across literally any type of industry. And it's a process. It's just the method to the madness. And I want to give you a bird's eye view of it just so that you can understand kind of maybe what you could take and steal and use right now, quite honestly. But let's go through this. Again, we won't go into each one of these in depth or detail, but I want to show you the bird's eye view of how this all fits together. So really the first thing that we want to do at the beginning of any client engagement, or any campaign of ours for that matter, is to model results. And it's the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes we see potential clients making, is that they don't know their numbers. They don't know where they need to be in terms of performance. And so because of that, they don't know what's winning, what's losing, and where to spend their time improving it. And so I want to show you, this is kind of an example of an exercise we go through internally, and where we want to map every touch point a customer can have with our digital experience. And what that means in layman's terms is like every step of a checkout or a funnel that they're going to see, we want to make sure that we're measuring their interaction with that page. And so this is a model of, say, for an e-commerce client, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy traffic from Facebook. We're going to send people to this coupon opt-in page. We're assuming 60% of them are going to opt in. They're going to get their coupon, then they're going to be presented with an offer, so on and so forth, right? And so we're making different assumptions, and we're creating different benchmarks at each stage, from the traffic costs to the expected conversion rates. And at the end, we do this calculation where we're able to see, okay, given the cost of our goods, like our gross profit margin and everything else, can we make money, or are we going to be losing money? And if your model is already setting you up to lose money, there's no amount of effort that you can exert to change that. So we want to start, even if we end up wildly deviating from this model, you want to have a working model so that you know what you need to be shooting for. So that's kind of step one, is to model results. The next phase here then is to define what we call KPIs. And before I lose you on jargon, this just stands for key performance indicators. So usually what this means is, okay, based on the model we've created, I need to hit $1 CPC, or cost per click, on Facebook. I need to have a conversion rate of 5% on my landing page. Then I need the cart value, what people actually buy, to be at least $50, etc. Right? We go through, and some of it's guesswork, some of it's based on historical performance we've seen for that particular product. It's, if you have history in your ad account, you can pull benchmarks from there. By the way, you guys, this is a great framework to use to diagnose what's going wrong right now with your account. But define your KPIs, and you're going to have a list. Put them in a spreadsheet, put them wherever you want, but it's, here's my target CPC, here's my conversion rate, and here's the, say, average order value. If we meet or exceed these goals, we're going to make money. That's what you can tell when you define your KPIs. And really what you're doing in that step is you're setting up goalposts so that you know when you're winning and when you're losing. All right, the next step here is basically just to analyze those results. And if any of you have tried to, analyze, say, a Facebook ad account in the past, you might just show up and start by looking at, okay, how many purchases did I have? But beyond there, it's kind of a blank stare, right? And usually the reason why you're not knowing what to do with the analysis phase is that you don't know what you're trying to hit. But now that we know where we should be in terms of cost per click, in terms of conversion rate, in terms of whatever else, we can analyze where we are against those goals. And say, like for instance, in the Ember Growth Lab, we've created some training that shows you, automated reports that you can set up and just at a glance kind of see where your metrics are against where they need to be. But analyze those results in light of the KPIs that you've set. Then your next phase is basically going to be like, wherever you're seeing the log jam, wherever you're seeing that you're being held back against what your goals are, you want to ideate experiments. And basically this just means you want to test. You want to figure out meaningful tests. So let's take, for example, that you're paying $2 a click on Facebook, but your model needs you to be paying $1 or less for this whole thing to work out. Well, we know that in order to decrease the cost of a click or decrease the cost of your traffic on Facebook, Facebook wants to make sure that you're giving people good stuff, right? That you have a high click-through rate, that there's engagement, there's likes and shares and comments. All of that increases the relevance score of your ad, which decreases the cost of the advertisement. So a great ideation or a brainstorming session would be okay, what types of copy and creative can we use to get to a higher click-through rate? We're at a 0.5% now. What can we do to get it up to like a 1% plus, and then see a drop in cost per click down from $2 to $1 or less than $1? And so you're going to ideate your experiments to try to overcome wherever the logjam is in this overall process. Then your next phase here is just to implement those experiments. Now, this might just seem pretty straightforward, and it is, but where people really go wrong is that they're not prioritizing what to do. Instead, they're sitting with a bag of Cheetos and they're coming up with what they think might be great ideas on what to test next. Maybe you don't eat Cheetos, whatever, it doesn't matter, but the point is that you're probably brainstorming experiments that aren't likely to really have a big impact. The classic one is the red button or the blue button, right? You're testing things that don't really have impact. So we've borrowed a page out of the Growth Hackers community book, which is to use a prioritization framework, which is for us just impact and ease. So impact, let's grade it 1 to 10. How likely is this to actually move the needle and help me achieve the model that we've drawn out? And then ease is how easy is it to actually get done, right? Because having a developer build some fancy virtual tour of your products, it might have great impact, but it's going to take weeks and a lot of money to build, so it's going to get a lower priority on what we try. But for example, going back to our example here, we're trying to get a lower cost per click. So in order to do that, we just need to write more copy, test more creatives. That's something that we can write up in maybe an hour or less. It doesn't maybe cost any additional funds, and we can get results very quickly. So that should have a high grade for impact and a high grade for ease, and then rise to the top of our testing queue and what we're going to work on that week. So the prioritization piece is really, really important to get down, because given your scarce resources of time and money, you can't test everything. It's a common marketing phrase, right? It's test everything, but we found that you have to choose. You have to make choices on what you're going to test. This is just a quick look at one of the pieces of the Ember Growth Lab. We actually maintain this huge database with dozens and dozens of experiments. So when you get to that ideation phase, you're able to reference this and say you want to work on something that is related to better creative or copy. You can just sort and find those experiments here and just copy them directly over to your ad account. And we've done some of the work here for you already in terms of grading. Let me give you another view here. Here's another view of it where you can grade by impact and ease. Whoops, I'm all over the place here. Grid view. You can grade by impact and ease. You can sort. So, hey, I need something that's going to help me test my creative, and I want to sort by the highest impact and ease score. Boom, your prioritization is done for you right here already. Just steal what we've already done. We've spent 8+ figures trying to figure this stuff out. At least you can get a starting point that you can just take and contextualize to your own store. So that's the overview, guys. And basically, I guess the last step would be this just becomes a virtuous cycle of growth. And the reason why you see growth is that getting these small incremental gains, they add up. If you improve the conversion rate, but then you improve your cost of traffic, and all these things start to work together to compound your results and allow you to scale your sales or your leads or whatever it might be. So we just repeat this process, keep iterating through those last 3 steps, and that's really what determines our work for the coming week or coming months for a particular client, something that you can take and do. And obviously our goal with the Ember Growth Lab is to smooth out this process, allow you to kind of take an existing framework and plop it right into your own business and start scaling much faster than you ever thought was possible. So if you got any questions, feel free to reply to this message or leave a comment, or check out the link that should be in close proximity to this video to join the Ember Growth Lab and kind of make this whole thing a little bit easier for yourself.